Hello, fellow traders. 'Tis I, TheRumpledOne, coming to you Thursday, January the 26th. The year's 2023. Let's talk trading. Trading with Walmal. As always, these videos are for educational purposes only. Your results may differ from mine, different from Walmal. Walmal, we got news at the bottom of the hour, so we thought we'd do some trade talk and trading while we're looking at the charts and going through the news. So I got the 1 minute chart up with some flip-flop boxes, lower high, higher low boxes, and indicator 2. Actually, let me make those dots a little bit bigger. So the traders can see those dots. So right now we're near the 2400 double O line.
Right. Yeah, we're coming back into that area, and if you look back to the previous hour, the last 5 or 6 minutes of the previous hour, you can see that, yeah, it crossed at 2400, but it got rejected pretty hard. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens right now. If it breaks it, you know, I don't know where it's going, but it's going someplace. You know, it always does have a place to go.
Well, let's see. If it breaks it,
you know, it's probably going to go. You know, if we can close above it, you know, the safe bet is that it's going to probably get to 2405, which means that for me, taking a trade there, I'm looking to get out at 2403, just pick up, you know, 1 or 2 pips. But the thing is, I probably wouldn't put my TP there. I'd probably sit there and wait and see what happens. Because the thing is, if it then breaks that area, then it's my guess is it's going to go to the high of the day, and the high of the day was somewhere around, at least on my charts anyway, 2430. You know, so it could be easily a 30 pip run. So we'll see what happens. You know, and that's the thing about trading. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. Well, right now, let's see. My daily open looks like it's at 23,985.
Yeah, my open is. It just shows you different brokers, right? My open is at 23.94, so we're pretty close, you know. But still, you know. But here it is. It broke that area. We didn't get close above it, and here it is with the, you know, got up to what? Got up to 3.5, so 3.6. So if I would have had my TP there, I would have gone out with 1 or 2 pips. But I said I wouldn't put one there, and you know, and the reason why is because there's a good potential that we could go and run up a good 20 or 30 pips. You know, you got to remember, trading is betting. You know, you're basically making an educated guess as to what the market's going to do. You don't know what it's going to do, but you're making your best educated guess that you can. And, you know, in this situation, I would have made the wrong guess, and, you know, but then again, it may come back. I don't know, you know, because market does like to breathe, but that's just part of trading. The only thing that I would be cautious about is that we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, you know, bull candles in a row. You know, so that's sort of like, wow, that's a lot of bull candles in a row. We got to go and compensate and breathe.
Okay, here's the news release.
Bam! Look at that.
Oh wow.
So, yeah, I mean, now your thought on news releases? A lot of times it'll go in one direction first and then swing back the other way because it's sort of a fake out.
Yeah, so that's why they ran it up right before the news, and then.
Just to give himself some room.
But it has to be a lie, right? There's no way it's good news for the U.S.
Again, like I say all the time, it's got nothing to do with whether the news is good for the U.S. or bad for the U.S. It's got everything to do with what those forecast numbers are. Because what you're doing is you're betting on the forecast numbers.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the reality, because you're betting on the difference in the forecast numbers. And what the real lie is not necessarily even the news news that comes out, but the forecast numbers, they're setting people up, you know.
Yeah.
They're saying, and the thing is, you know, because at some point in time, the numbers have to come home to roost,
Mm-hmm.
you know, so you can't be off too far. But those forecast numbers doesn't make any difference, you know. Nobody loses their job if they make a guess and it's in the wrong place. You lose your job when you falsify information. But looking at the information itself, GDP actually advanced at 2.9%, and they were expecting 2.6%. So that's a respectable number. It missed the forecast by 0.3, but not by very much. And what's interesting is that all the numbers, you know, because we had like 6 or 7 pieces of information that came out, all the numbers but one came out actually better than expected. And, you know, and here we are, you know, did that big bounce down, you know, and now all of a sudden we're coming back up, you know, and which is what it does, you know, and that's why I don't like trading this, because it's just my luck. I always pick the wrong time to enter. You know, other people are really good at that, but I'm just not very good at it. So I'll wait a couple of minutes, wait for this to settle down a little bit. You, on the other hand, I know that you like to trade it, but and I understand why you'd like to trade, because I mean, let's face it, I mean, it dropped what, 10, 20, 30, you know, more than that, because the tail on that, you know how far that tail went down, 40, it moved 40 pips.
Yeah.
All within 2 minutes.
Yeah.
You know? So that could be a nice pickup if you happen to be right with your guess.
Yeah, so it's like this is one of those ones where it went down, then the next candle came up, and now the next few candles will go right back down to that bottom.
Yep, it'll go back to 10. I don't know if it'll extend it going down or if it'll just go down. It's going to go down just if no other reason, you know, than to test it out. And, you know, just so we're not playing games here or whatever, when I say go down and test it, I don't necessarily mean that. On my chart anyway, it got down to 60.5.
Mm-hmm.
When I say go down to that, it doesn't necessarily have to go and touch that to the exact point, you know. What I mean by it is gets within, you know, a couple of pips, 5, maybe even 5 pips of it. That's a testing of that area, because that's the thing about Forex trading, you know, and I think that's probably true of most trading, is that what we're doing is it's like, you know, horseshoes, you know, and hand grenades, you know, it's that thing where it tests an area. It doesn't necessarily have to get to an exact number.
Right.
You know, the exact number is what we're shooting for, but, you know, it doesn't have to get there. And, you know, and when people sit there and say, well, I can't believe the market did that to me. It didn't get to my exact point, even though all my support and resistance lines are perfectly drawn. Look how perfectly drawn they are. Guess what? It doesn't work that way.
Well, we just came out of that flip-flop box.
Yep.
I was getting, you were talking, but I was thinking, you know, just trade the psychological 75.
Yep, that would have been a good trade coming in, because it was coming out of the box. You still would have had a negative M5, but at the same time, that M1 looked like a really nice solid M1 coming up out of that, and that could have been easily worth 20 pips at this point.
Yeah, well, and the other thing is, yesterday I think there was news, and price kind of did the same thing, and I think it was, or was it the day before, where it went down and then almost completely covered it, and then continued.
Yep. Yeah. So, and the thing is that you know, the 8:30 candle Eastern time, it's now covered that entire bar. So
not on mine.
Oh, mine is completely covered. Yeah.
See, that's just so funny, that the difference between the brokers.
Yeah. But the 8:29 candle on mine, it's got to get all the way up to, you know, 2.4, something like that.
Yeah.
So it's got a ways to go to cover that one up.
But that's not a return bar.
Well, actually, on mine it is. That's the funny part. That again shows you the different brokers. Because on my chart, that's actually 10.2 pips.
Wow.
So it just shows you. Just shows you again, different brokers. You got to, and that gets to a really good point. We talked about this, earlier today. But you got to trade what's on your chart. I can't trade what's on TRO's chart, and I can't trade what's on anybody else's chart. I got to trade what's on my chart, and because otherwise it just gets too confusing, and you wind up in a boat of trouble.
Yeah, and I think we'd also come to the conclusion that may be why sometimes you're going one direction and I'm going the opposite direction.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And the thing is though, and I alluded to it, earlier today. And that's why I think money management is so important. We've talked about money management on this channel a lot, but that's why that's so important because, at the exact same time, you could be, usually it's not the exact same time, but within usually 10, 20, 30 seconds of each other, you may go long and I may go short because, and we may even be using maybe not the exact same method, but something very similar. And it's just because of the way the candles stack up on the chart.
Right.
But if money management serves you, yeah, you may take the win and I may take the loss, but my money management keeps me out of trouble so I don't find myself in a tilt situation.
Well, actually, we both might take a win because that's happened before. So, and the thing is, it's like with the dots and the flip-flop boxes where you might be on your third dot and I might be taking, as soon as on the second dot or something.
Right, exactly.
In the opposite direction.
Yep. But that's the thing about, that's why I'm saying the money management thing. It keeps you in the trade, as long as, or at least for me anyway, it keeps me in the trade as long as it possibly can, and at the same time, it takes me out of the trade when I need to be out of the trade, so I don't go in, so I can protect myself.
And then we just covered.
Yep. By the way, I took that flip-flop trade there, and I just picked up, I don't know, probably 8 pips.
Nice.
And I got out pretty quickly. I got 7 pips on it. It stole some pips from me. I pumped out at 10, and I knew that it was going to take some away from me. And of course now, here's the thing that the regret part, right? So I pumped out at 2,400, and it got me out at somewhere around 23.98, something like that. But here it went all the way up, to 2.4, and I can sit there and say those, the blankety blanks went and stole those pips from me, or I can do the other thing and say I should have stayed in. If I would have stayed in, it would have made another, 2 or 3 pips.
Well, the thing is, what hurts the most is when it turns winners into losers, even if it's a tiny loser. That's the one that really gets you. But hey, we're on that third dot. But you said you went out of that flip-flop box back around 90.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And the thing is that talking about, I had a situation earlier this week where I was up and I was trading pretty heavy, and I was up like $200-300, and I punched out to get out $200-300. I took $150 loss.
Yeah.
Like, that's, what are you gonna do? It's it's sort of like I'm playing in somebody else's cookie jar. So I got to just take what I can take, and just be happy with it.
Well, guess what? The fastest 15 minutes in trading is up. So, traders, I hope you got something. I think maybe we might start doing these trading videos just once a week. So maybe you can get a closer look at how we look at the market, enter, exit, and all those types of things. Because remember, and never forget, it's not what you trade, it's how you trade it. So go out there and drain the banks. This is TheRumpledOne, over and out.